Hey everybody, welcome back to the Convo Couch. I am Fiorella. Johnny's here also on the ones and twos. And then we have Graham Elwood. Hey Graham.
Hey, I like your
Hey.
guys' music. It was very like bum bum bum. I was getting all fired up, and then it just went to ding 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 ding. I was like, "What? That was quite a theme change."
It is. Johnny gets crazy back there with the music. But how are you, Graham? How have you been? I know it's been kind of crazy by Santa Monica, where you're at. I know there's been helicopters and the National Guard and, just so much commotion. How is it over there?
Well, I mean, we're in a military-occupied city,
Mm.
um, and the military that's occupying it is obviously Russia and the Chinese. Oh no, no, wait, it's the American military. I'm sorry, I keep getting confused here. Um, and it's sort of quiet right now, but there's military helicopters flying overhead. There's
Yeah.
military vehicles in downtown Santa Monica. And I was at the protest Sunday, and there was, rioting and looting that was literally blocks from me. Um, there was a Verizon store that had its window broken 3, 4 blocks from me.
Mhm.
Um, and the last time I saw this much military gear is when I was doing comedy tours in like Afghanistan and Iraq and Kuwait. Um, and so
So it can
I,
bring you back some memories.
yeah, it's not that, I mean, I, I don't know what it's like to be a combat vet. I'll never know, but going over there to war zone 7 times, um, I was on a helicopter that came under fire. It was rocket attacks, and I got PTSD from it and did a lot of therapy and work on it, and that's all feels like it's back. Like my body is physically like on alert all the time, and so I don't like it here. I don't like America. I don't like the American empire, um, and um, I've been like worried, I've been saying like for a while, like it's going to get really bad in this country, and it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And yeah,
and our leaders aren't helping. That's the
oh,
thing. That's the thing. I mean, people are out there protesting police brutality, sure, but a lot of the anger is also coming from the fact that people are like they don't know what to do. They're anxious. People are just getting their unemployment. People have still not gotten unemployment or the $1,200 check, and they refuse to give us anything else. In any
hmm
other country, you'd see protests for that. But in America, it's taken us this, I believe, this cause to maybe hopefully allow a springboard for other protests, like against the government for not really taking care of its people, right? Do you
yeah, I
think?
totally agree. I mean, like, look, we've invaded countries
Mm-hmm.
for what's happening here right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like this is if we were everything that is happening. I mean, this is like, oh, Maduro is, there's no food on the shelves, and he's sending his army against his people. That's what's happening here. I mean, and um, I'm wanting. I'm seeing some positive. I mean, seeing all these people in the streets, and a lot of young people and a lot of white people. I mean, I've said this, like, white people, I'm white, I'm a straight white male, right? So I have all this privilege, and white people really need to get involved with this. And the fact that I saw, and a friend of mine, who's Native American, was like, why do you think so many middle class white people are like finally waking up to this brutality that's been happening for a long time? I said, well, this quarantine is the first time middle class white people have had their rights taken away
Right.
by the oppressive government.
Right.
You know, Black people, Latinos, Native Americans have had a repressive, occupying force on their land for centuries. So this is the first time white people have been told no, and things are taken away from them, and they're denied this and they're denied that. And the police brutality that we just witnessed in Los Angeles. You guys saw it firsthand. I
Yep.
saw the Santa Monica Police Department do it. You know, and the unfortunately, I think, and a lot of younger, people, but like, I think this is what's waking up white, like middle class, because middle class white America this past week just got their asses kicked by the police. They just got shot with rubber bullets. They just got tear gassed and nightsticked. And we're seeing it all over social media, how video from literally every city in America, they're just nightsticking people. They're shooting peaceful protesters. They're shooting pregnant women. They're beating the shit out of little blonde girls. They're like protesting, and they're just like boom. And unfortunately, middle class white America, most of these kids probably haven't had negative experiences with the police.
Yep.
Until this past week.
Yep. And it does change you. I mean, even being out there and like seeing how the police were shooting at people, and seeing how they treated us, even as press, it's like, wow. Like, a lot of these people grow up their whole lives in suburbs, and I did for the most part until I moved to Los Angeles. And you have some interactions with police, especially down south, but you don't. But this is like a whole other level. And like when you move to LA, you see the police around more because it's a bigger city. But then you don't realize, for a lot of people, I think, that the police aren't here to like help you a lot of the time. This is why people of color fear the police, because most of the time they make your situation worse. And that's what I've seen in Los Angeles. And then with this, it just took it to a whole other level. And it changes you, and it radicalizes you in a way where you're like, holy crap, like, this is not okay. We cannot stand by this. So
yeah, and that's hopefully the good that's going to come out of this. I mean, when I heard that everybody was protesting, I mean, and it's what's waking people up too, is it's not these old battle line, like, well, it's the Democrats are going to save it. They're like, what? Like Jackie Lacey, Eric Garcetti are Democrats.
Yeah.
And Eric Garcetti will not acknowledge the police brutality in the press and the media, the local news media, which is only for old people, by the way. Younger people don't watch the local media, but when you watch it, it's good to see, oh, this is the bullshit they feed people. And they won't call out the police brutality. They won't call it out. And Jackie Lacey refuses to prosecute cops. And so they're just protesting. And like, I literally just I was doing like a food feeding, like a food distribution. And I'm an American Red Cross volunteer. And as I was driving on the 10 to downtown LA to go to Santee High School to do it, spray paint on one of the overpasses is like, and Jackie Lacey's guilty, and politicians are the virus. And I'm like, that used to just be tagged with like gang graffiti, and then they'd paint it over or whatever. And now it's political graffiti, which is like, people are waking up to this fact. Like Joe Biden wrote the 1994 crime bill.
Yep.
That was signed into law by Bill Clinton.
Exactly.
And
Obama didn't, he actually hurt black people more than anything. Flint, Michigan still doesn't have clean water. He didn't stand up for Standing Rock. He took us from 2 to 7 wars. I mean, all of the things that, Obama is going out there making speeches. They're trying to co-opt this movement. But what they don't realize is that the younger generations are so aware, and they're becoming increasingly aware that, no, Joe Biden is not the solution. And people think that they can trick them, but believe me, I talk to a lot of young people, and they don't like Biden either, or Trump. They understand that.
They're seeing the whole system is broken because it was, and Trump's awful. I mean, Trump's awful, and he's acting like some, third world fascist dictator, which we are. We're a third world banana republic. We can't even take care of our own citizens. I mean, I was just telling you before we went live, like, I got an email that I'm going to be getting my first unemployment check in about 5 to 10 days. It's June.
Jesus.
And I've gotten $1,200 and a couple of grand from the SBA. And if I didn't have a YouTube channel, and I'm very grateful for having it and having a YouTube audience, I literally, there's a grocery store by me that was looted. I would have had to go in there. I would have looted it. I would have had to go in there to get food, and maybe I would have been one of those guys running out of the REI with a surfboard, because I know what surfboards cost. I would have grabbed a $700-800 surfboard, and I could sell it to someone for $300-400, and I would be able to I'd buy food. I would have turned over the lease on my car. I'd be like, I can't afford this, is gone. That's what I would be doing.
People forget rioting or looting is a form of protest.
Yes.
So, yeah.
People, and I'm so sick of hearing that. Even like white liberals, like, well, what are the rioting? What are they looting? What's that for? That's not peaceful. And they have, well, that does. Dr. King went, oh God. When a white liberal thinks they know about Dr. King, I'm like, no, the I Have a Dream speech, which they've conveniently scrubbed all of his socialist and radical speeches from the history books. Like, you got to dig deep on YouTube to find those. And if you're just
100%
watching the regular media, you don't get that. So while I'm not happy looting happening in my neighborhood, and there's some small business owners who lost their stores, and that breaks my heart. My city was on fire, and it breaks my heart. And downtown Santa Monica is all boarded up. It breaks my heart, but it is a part of this protest, because there is a huge amount of inequities, wealth inequities in this country, and there is not a fair distribution of wealth. Well, you know what happened this past couple of days? They just went and redistributed some wealth. That's what happened.
Since the government won't do it, the people are going to do it, right?
Yeah, people need to loot and riot. If we all had Medicare for all, and we were given a $2,000-3,000 a month UBI, like all these other countries are getting, Canada's getting that. Australia is getting $1,500 every 2 weeks. They already have free health care. England, they're paying 80% of your salary. Like, this is we wouldn't have these. No one would need, but people don't realize too. So there's a kid I'm a big brother to, and his grandmother lives in South Central. And so I've been there a bunch. And there's no Pilates, there's no, day spas, there's no Jamba Juice, there's no Trader Joe's, there's no REI, there's no, not even nice grocery, just a Ralph's or a Vaughn's with an organic food section. They don't have any of those things down there. So if I was, 16, 17-year-old black kid, and I was told you're less than nothing, the cops can kill you, and I came to nice Santa Monica, I might fucking throw a wreck through a window and steal some shit, because I'm like, fuck you. You told me I'm less than. And not to mention, I'm sure we'll talk about this in a second, but not all the looting is started by the protesters. Some of it is the cops and white nationalists. But like, I was also just down in like sort of downtown South Central LA area to do this food distribution. And the businesses are boarded up and all that stuff, but those businesses were all boarded up way before this pandemic. So now, again, middle-class America, middle-class white America is really feeling what communities of color and even the poor white communities in this country have been feeling for a while. No jobs, no businesses, no nothing. The government doesn't give a shit about you. The government doesn't give a shit about the opioid epidemic. It doesn't give a shit about poverty. It doesn't give a shit about undrinkable water. It doesn't give a shit about, pipelines bursting. It doesn't give a shit about 22 vets a day killing himself. They don't give a shit about black people getting killed. This government doesn't give a shit about you at all, man. You know why? There's 85,000 dead Yemen children. The country doesn't give a shit. We're just a brutal, evil, repressive regime. And America's been putting its knee on the neck of the world, especially a poor country that has resources. So of course our police are going to do that here.
It's all representative of the big empire that we are. I mean, everything that's happening is a microcosm of the macro that's happening with our country. And our politicians, you say, aren't really doing much. In fact, Nancy Pelosi is here in California. She's in San Francisco, and she is, of course, the leading Democrat and in the House. And you would think that if I were a progressive, right, Graham. Like if I'm running for Congress, if I told everybody that I was a socialist and I was going to go in there and I was going to be for the people, that I would actually oppose Nancy Pelosi. But AOC, instead of opposing Pelosi, has been extremely complacent with her, has really not opposed her most ways. And now she has her endorsement. So breaking news, Nancy endorses AOC. She endorsed somebody else as well, but we can just hear the video of her and see what she has to say with her little pink diamond mask.
Is she in front of her ice cream fridge when she gives this speech, or?
Well, all I know what it means is that I firmly support Eliot Engel for Congress, and I support Alexandria for Congress as well. I think the people of New York are very blessed to have them both in the Congress. Chairman Engel is the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee. He also has the unique privilege, which is unique, and it wouldn't happen again. It just happened in terms of his.
So she endorsed Frederick Engel, I think she said. Eliot Engel. And AOC, right?
I guess all of that ass kissing AOC's been doing is paying off.
I mean, people are still saying, no, it's okay, because maybe Nancy just says whatever she wants. This doesn't mean AOC is not going to oppose Nancy Pelosi. What do you think, Graham? Because I don't agree with that.
Well, I don't understand how anyone can come to that conclusion, because she stopped opposing Nancy Pelosi. She was a year ago.
Yep.
She was calling out Nancy Pelosi publicly. That Twitter fight, which I gave AOC so much credit for. She's like, what's the point of having control of the Congress if we're going to vote to support Trump's border wall? I was like, well, yeah. This is why AOC is like a new type of politician. She was waiting table. I'm glad she was waiting tables and didn't grow up in the political establishment. Hell yeah, man. I wish she was my congressional representative. And then won't call out the cheating of the Democratic Party. So the UN said that the Democratic primary that we're technically still in has all the earmarks of corruption. But AOC can't say that. Bernie can't even say that. So, and that political theater of AOC shaking her finger at the Republicans after the CARES Act. She voted for the CARES Act. The Senate voted for the CARES Act. Like that's when I was like, oh, she's done. It took her 14 months before she just full on sold out, about a good 14 months.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, I had a friend call me. He's like, Graham, stop pushing Joe Biden. You're going to hurt. And Trump's evil. Trump is evil and awful, but it's not. The change isn't going to happen at the ballot box, folks. It's going to happen in the street. It's going to happen.
And we're seeing that. We're seeing that right now, guys. We're seeing that.
It's going to happen when people like seize control of the Capitol building and go, no, we're going to be here when you vote. This is what's going to happen. We're going to sit in on this vote. You're not going to show it to us on C-SPAN. We're going to be in the chamber when you vote, and you're all going to have to stand up and face the citizenry and vote. And you have to tell us why. And that's when things are going to have to change. When Eric Garcetti, look, protesting outside of Garcetti's house, look what that's doing. He's getting scared, and he should be. And Jackie Lacey, they should protest outside of her home. They should protest outside of Pelosi's home, outside of AOC's home, outside of Mitch McConnell's home, and they've been doing it outside of Trump's home. And that orange-skinned, Nazi cocksucker fucking can't even hold a Bible correctly. So like they can everyone in power, Democrat, Republican, I don't give a shit. Get their home address and set up a peaceful protest outside of their home. Your chief of police, set up a protest outside of their home. All of them find their homes and say, we're going to peacefully protest. And then see when they'll start waking the fuck up. Because right now they've had this cushion. So I don't even know if we're going to even have an election in November, because Trump's going to try to say, oh, we got to suspend the election. Just wait. They're going to try to stir up more trouble. They're going to say, oh, Iran started this next round of protest. Whatever they're going to do. Russia did it. China did it.
Yeah, well, they're already blaming Bernie supporters, and they also screwed up the primary, right? Coronavirus, okay. Yeah, we're screw the primary. Biden's the nominee, whatever. I mean, there's no point right now, but it's like if they can do that, they can totally do the next thing. I just want to point out something. And you mentioned going to protest at Nancy's house, and extremely on board for that. In fact, I'm trying to get people like, let's do this, because she was wearing and this is because people are stupid enough to call her, to Yas Queen her, right? Where they're like, this person said, badass, Speaker Pelosi has a rhinestone diamond vote face mask and it matches her dress. This is still some people who love to bootlick, you know. And Nancy Pelosi is talking about, you know, how she spoke about holding the Bible right, and she's doing all of these platitudes and who she's endorsing. But what has she done for us here? She has absolutely done nothing. She has approved all of Trump's military budgets. She has refused to actually give us a UBI. Even when Trump said, oh, I'm okay with it, her and Mitch McConnell literally fought against it. They're fighting against giving us even the $1,200 plus extending the $600 unemployment because they're afraid people are going to double dip. I mean, this is the point we're at. This is the point we're at.
God forbid people double dip. Oh my God. God forbid people get paid by the federal government twice. God forbid. I mean, it's almost like, that's almost as bad as having 2 ice cream fridges.
Almost.
I mean, it's like, and sort of the vote any blue will do neoliberals like don't want to hear it or don't want to pay much attention. Some of them seem like they're waking up. The younger people are.
Yeah.
But the people in their like mid 40s and up still want to believe that the Democratic Party is not, I mean, they're not perfect, but they're nowhere they're better than Republican. Yeah. Like they just still want to believe that thing. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you because Pelosi has voted for the Patriot Act. She's given Trump his border wall. They've extended the military budget, as you were talking about. They've given Trump every single thing that he wanted.
Yeah.
And then people are so stupid as to say, oh, that diamond-studded vote mask. What? How much did that cost? Like, but that's I'm sorry, that's the neoliberal who, you know, is like, or the celebrity who's like, you know, Madonna in a rosewater bath or some celebrity in their mansion going, hey, just stay at home. We're all in this together. Stay where? In your backyard with your pool and your hot tub and your tennis courts? I'm in a 1-bedroom rent controlled apartment because the government, Obama and Bush let the banks steal my fucking home. You want to talk about looting? I had my home looted by One West Bank 10 years ago.
Yep.
So, so fuck you. If you think Nancy Pelosi is your feminist hero queen, you're a fucking moron. She's worth $100 million.
And she
you
has
don't get $100 million because you're a smart, savvy feminist. Show me some real activists that have $100 million. Find me one. Find me one activist that's got that much money. Like, give me a break, man. She is part of the problem. And then again, show me one photo of a cop with their knee on the neck of a billionaire. All these people screaming about the looting, that's looting is bad. It's not what the cause is about. Where was your outrage when the banks just looted $4.25 trillion in the CARES Act? What about the looting of 6 million foreclosures 10 years ago that Obama let happen? He just rubber stamped it, gave them money, let it happen.
That doesn't count.
Where the fuck is your outrage then? Take your fucking vote diamond mask and jam it up your fucking ice cream eating ass.
It doesn't count, Grab. That's why it doesn't count.
Yeah. Right. When the Democrat does it, it's okay.
Right. Well, when the government does it, it's the law. When we do it, it's violence. And that's the reality, right? So we've been talking a lot about the police brutality. You've seen some of it in the sense of like hearing it through us. You know, we spoke about it on the phone. You talked about being in an occupied state. But now, you know, the LAPD, you know, this is why I have a huge issue with the whole kneeing thing. Like, I think it's good if it's genuine. But if those same cops who are kneeling with people are going to go and turn around and then do the same shit they've been doing, we're not getting anywhere. So there was this LAPD officers actually shot a homeless man sitting on a chair doing absolutely nothing. And the paramedics, of course, tended to him, but they're not sure how he's doing. The LAPD refuses to comment on it. They're saying, you know, that they were there, but they're not commenting on what exactly happened. And there's a photo of the man and his injury that is being reviewed by the department. Now, I know that you know, because you live in LA, that this isn't anything new as far as abuse from the police on the homeless. They get their tents, which are their homes, completely ransacked by the police. They do sweeps, street sweeps. They constantly get criminalized because they have nowhere to go. So they tell them go here, and they go there, and then they tell them to move somewhere else. You can't sleep in your car. If you sleep in your car enough, you get a ticket. If you don't pay that ticket, you get your car towed. And so we're creating more people, more bodies, as they refer to us, more bodies that end up in prison, right? We're perpetuating the prison system, which is a for-profit business. And this is nothing new, Graham. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've seen the police constantly abuse homeless. But now with this whole protesting and the sort of looting, I think they're going to feel more entitled to do so.
That's what I mean. We just saw it. It's that they have felt they got a green light to just beat the shit out of people this past week. I mean, they just did it. And it's in cities all over the country. And when you don't have civilian oversight and you give cops all this power, and they know, I mean, there is a 99% acquittal rate of cops that kill people. Not just black people, just anyone. Cops kill anybody. There's a 99%. 99% of them aren't even charged. And then they have a 99% acquittal rate when they are charged. And it's like, it took 6 days and 10,000 arrests for them to charge the other 3 officers that stood by and allowed George Floyd to get murdered, who participate. If you just stand and let your partner do that, you're guilty. It's like, well, not all cops are bad. I'm sorry. Maybe they all are. Maybe they all are. And you study the Stanford experiment, you give somebody power, they abuse it. And that's what we've given them. Unchecked, unbridled power. They're not going to get prosecuted. And the beautiful, diversity of stupid America. Well, hey, female cops have killed unarmed black people and gotten off. And Latino cops have killed unarmed, and black cops have killed black people and gotten off. Wow. What such progress in America. Now anyone of any ethnicity can be a cop and kill somebody, especially if they're black, and never even see a minute of jail time. And it's like, there were 1,100 deaths at the hands of police in America in 2019. Right? 99% of them got off or weren't even charged. And 49 cops died. So I'm sorry. It's just appalling. And
it's happening all over the country too. Like, I mean, this is not just the LAPD, which is notoriously, has that reputation. It's not just the NYPD. It's happening throughout the country because it's unchecked power, as you said. It's zero accountability. They've never had to take accountability. Just like Jeffrey Epstein was never held accountable to anything. He was able to do whatever he wanted. So he continued until he was stopped. And that's the thing. It did take all of this to arrest those other 3 officers, and it wouldn't have happened if people hadn't had the public outrage. I mean, there's countless of cases where people have still yet to be arrested. They just reopened Breonna Taylor's case, which shows something is happening, whether people want to dismiss this or not. Now, I just want to point out again, a 75-year-old man was pushed to the ground. He's in the hospital. This man is, this happened in Buffalo, New York. And this man, of course, reminds me of other people I know. He was, you have a video? Okay.
Back up. Get off the steps. Let's go. Get back. Get back. Better get an ambulance for him. We have EMT on scene.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. They just completely walked all over him. And I just want to point out that this man was an actual activist. He was, his name was Martin Guagino. And he was a community activist known in his community for advocating social justice and helping those in need find affordable housing. He's described as someone who would give you the shirt off his back and the last time in his pocket for anyone in need. So there you go. There you go. That's And here's another thing I'm seeing, Graham, is one officer might push him, but everybody else does nothing. And that's what we're seeing, right? It's that meme where you're seeing the Democrat and the Republican. The Republican is putting his knee on you, but the Democrat is sitting there watching, not doing anything and covering for him. That's literally our country. That's our politicians. Mm-hmm. Those are our policemen then. So,
of course. I mean, look, when we outspend the next 10 countries combined on military, it's the same thing on the local level. Like, on the federal level, how are we going to pay for Medicare for all and free college and everything like that? The same thing. How are we going to pay? How are we going to pay for homeless shelters, and how are we going to pay for better education in our cities? While we're LA is spending $3 billion. It just upped its police budget, and the private prison industry profits from this. So they profit from locking people up. They look, putting primarily people of color behind bars is a profitable business. They make money off of this. So they need to continue to create criminals, and the whole system is nonsense. I mean, I did a video a couple months ago about the private prison industry in 1989 had a secret meeting with a bunch of record executives and said, we really want you to push gangster rap because it'll help the private prison industry, because it'll glamorize criminal behavior and it'll be great. And gee, what a weird coincidence. And then when crack gets funneled into the Black community by the CIA, Gary Webb uncovers this, and then he shoots himself in the head twice and they rule it a suicide. That's in the police report. He shot himself in the head. It was a suicide by shooting himself in the head twice. So this is how our society, we are a brutal right-wing fascist country. And we treat the world this way. So of course we're going to treat our own citizens this way.
I'm surprised no one has invaded us and tried to spread democracy. I'm very surprised.
I'm amazed. Because what we're doing deserves some democracy spreading. I mean, like if any other country, if this was happening in Russia, it would be like, we got to stop this, right? Like, this is what we're doing. Like, this is, and they're trying to blame everybody but the system, right? It's Russia's doing it. Is this China? Is this Antifa? Is this like, fuck off.
It's Bernie supporters. Yeah.
And real quick, I just want to show that these cops were kneeling the day before. On June 4th, they were kneeling, and then it was the same cops that were kneeling that pushed the 75.
The New York cop?
Yes.
Okay. See, Graham, I wanted to bring this up with you. I wanted to bring this up with you because Paz and I had a discussion the other day, because he did a whole segment on the positivity and all this, and how it's nice to see cops join the protests and all that. But my whole point of being suspect of it was like, a lot. It's kind of happened here where there was a cop that it was just really fake, and there was a CBS guy right in front of it.
Right.
It didn't seem genuine, and so I've been talking about like how if these same cops are going to do the same thing right after they take a knee, then what the hell is this other than platitudes and symbolism that the Democratic Party shoves up in front of everyone?
Well, I mean, yeah, I obviously, and it's some cops trying to use just a tactic to get a crowd, like that first video of that Flint cop. Everyone's like, oh, he's one of the good guys. And then Aaron Matei broke it down and was like, no, it was a tactic.
Yeah.
Look, even if a bunch of cops take a knee genuinely, that's great. And it's a nice gesture and it's a start. But look,
yeah.
That's great. And it's great. And look, had Santa Monica PD taken a knee on Sunday, there wouldn't have been any riots. Instead, they overreacted. And they didn't even protect the businesses. It's almost like they wanted the rioting and looting to happen so they could go to justify the military. Look, we need, the whole system is broken.
Yeah,
all of our police departments. We can't, the way we train them, the way all of it, the way is the military selling military grade equipment? Why is there even a for-profit prison industry? That needs to just end. not regulate. Done. No for-profit prisons. Fuck you. Get out of there. You're done. You know, we need all of this. We need any prosecutor that won't prosecute cops. You're gone. You're gone. We need civilian oversight. We need to like, again, if everyone had a job and good education, would we need this? You know, would we need this? Would we need any of this?
No, this wouldn't be happening. If people were comfortable, this wouldn't be happening at all. I 100% believe that. When I was taken in, they, you know, Jonny and I mentioned how the zip ties were really tight, how they were rude. They kept telling us to face a wall. Well, Julia Dupuy, I think that's French, she said she was arrested on June 2nd, 2020, with around 100 other protesters in Los Angeles. She said, while I was zip-tied and facing the wall, 2 male officers joked behind me about my gender presentation. Do you think it's female? Are you sure? Okay, and I just want to point out, when they took me, they put me against the wall, and I kept trying to turn around because they had my phone, and I was afraid they were going to break it. And the woman, I'm not joking, Graham, like, she literally, like, pretty much just, like, assaulted me. You know, I mean, they were like feeling you up and down and stuff like that. It's a very violating, and it's like they enjoy that they can do it because you can't say anything, because they can just be like, oh, we're checking for weapons. And, you know, when I was like trying to say, I'm with them, I need to stay with them, and they were like, oh, not tonight. And they just laughed and mocked me. And when this person's talking about being mocked by her gender presentation, I 100% believe it. Because that was my experience with them. They were just like, it's crazy to think that these people have so much power over us, and they're supposed to be looked at as like people that have their community. In order for that to happen, we need to demilitarize the police, defund the police, and then they can go and be the same type of police that people have in France, where they're not carrying military grade weapons, when they are community like policing. That's what we need. Nothing less than that is going to work, I think. Yeah. Nothing less than that.
I agree. And they just want to roll in with, I mean, Santa Monica police showed up to a peaceful protest with riot gear and automatic weapons, clip in, bunch of ties. They were ready to go. And then they
grabbed their weapons.
Huh?
They're grabbing their weapons. Yes. Like a lot of them, they're like ready to like,
they want some shit to go down. They're waiting for it. They're these roided out thugs, man. And I don't want to, I'm sorry. And I have friends that are cops, and I want to ask them, if you saw partners of yours doing this kind of shit, then I can't say you're a good cop. I'm sorry. You know, there's some good cops. Really? Really? Were there some good guards at the camps in Germany? Were there a couple of them that were good? A couple good Nazis out there? Fuck you, man. You watched this shit happen. You let it happen. You didn't speak up.
Yep.
Because they have this blue veil, this blue wall of secrecy, and there's no civilian oversight. They police themselves. Okay, so is that what we're going to do with the mafia or the drug cartels? When we catch them, let them police themselves? I mean, it worked so well when we gave the banks, gave them all that stimulus money, and we let them figure out how they were going to spend it. That's worked out great. I mean, we're not on the brink of the worst economic collapse in the history of civilized society at all. Everything's going great. So I'm so glad we haven't regulated the banks.
And, you know, a lot of people want to put blame on the left at this. And this has been my problem. Like I said, and I mean by like the left, I mean the actual left. I don't mean like Democrats. I mean like the actual left. But a lot of the reporting that I've seen has been undercover cops. It's been undercover, you know, or white supremacists trying to like stir some shit up between Black people and white people, and to start this sort of race war. So according to this person on Twitter, they are reportedly saying that these police officers were working with the cops. They said police officer tells Proud Boys to hide inside building because they're about to tear gas protesters. The officer said he was warning them discreetly because he didn't want protesters to see police play favorites. Let's play the video.
Really enforce the citywide curfew shutdown so we can arrest anybody who's walking around. Okay. My command wanted me to come talk to you guys and request that you guys secrete either inside the business or in your vehicle somewhere where it's not a violation of that ordinance, so we don't look like we're playing favorites. Gotcha. We can go interior. That would really enforce the citywide.
Okay. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I take everything on Twitter with a grain of salt, but this is from a TikTok actually. And it said they were trying to identify the guy, and it says, update, he's been identified. I sent out another tweet with his name and another video of him and his Proud Boys. And this is the Salem Police Department. So, again, I don't think it's far-fetched to know this, because the police was started to go after slaves. I mean, it is inherently a racist system. A lot of members of the police were members of the KKK. This is nothing new. I think a lot of people just didn't want to believe that, right?
Yeah. Because, again, you know, if you grew up middle-class white person, like I did, you were taught the cops were good, and what you saw, they looked good. You know, you would go, oh, there's a cop. Okay, things will be okay now. You know, like you never saw the cops just single you out and hassle you. I mean, when I was in high school, I did some stupid vandal shit. I smashed them, and we got arrested a couple of times. Carload full of suburban white kids. They gave us a slap on the wrist and said, you know, don't do that again. Boys will be boys. You know, and we all knew our parents were going to pay for our college. So, you know, that's where that, like, well, the cops aren't all bad. Like I was causing problems. Of course I got busted. No, but they didn't kick my head and they didn't write me up and give me I didn't do.
Well, you're alive.
Yeah, I'm alive for starters. I could have gotten 90 days juvenile hall. They could have arrested me for a year. I mean, they could have put me in the system, and then where would I be? And so, because, and look, the you know, this whole thing of like, oh, Antifa stands for anti-fascists, right? So yeah. I had two uncles that fought fascists in World War II. So how is that a bad thing? And these are fascists. And we have people who are Nazis and in the KKK. You're against America. You should be held for treason. Every World War II veteran is a member of Antifa. Every World War II memorial is a memorial to anti-fascists, to put their lives on the line to go kill fascists and stop them, because Hitler, Mussolini, and Hirohito were fascists. So there's fascists in this country, and just because they have badges of a gun or they're white guys and they've got an American eagle painted on their pickup truck, they are still fascists, and they are against the American flag. They are against the goddamn Constitution of America and the Declaration of Independence, and they need to be rounded up and taken out.
So, unfortunately, a former CIA officer would disagree with you, Graham. He thinks
oh, no, really? The CIA's on the wrong side of something? That's weird.
So let's watch this video on Tucker Carlson. This guy just goes off and blames everybody from Marxists to the Black Panthers to Bernie Bros. Let's hear what he has to say.
Now, let's just cut to the chase, Tucker. This country is on fire. We are facing an insurrection by people that we don't quite understand who they are, but by all indications, they are violent leftist thugs. And what Secretary Esper doesn't quite seem to get either is that the nation is panicking. 71% of us want the National Guard in our cities tonight. 58% of us want the military in our cities tonight. All right, the people are panicking. The country is on fire. Now, who is attacking us? Mr. Esper should know this. Right. It's Antifa, Department of Justice, NYPD. Others are saying this very clearly. These are people, by the way, that we faced back in the 1960s and 70s and early 80s. These were people who were far leftist, Marx, Lenin, folks who embraced that ideology. They allied with Black Panther movements, and it took many years to finally put it down. Very dangerous. And now this same group, who is allied, by the way, with the Democratic Socialists, we're talking to Bernie Bros and Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, they're back. They're back with firebombs. They're back with bricks in our suburbs and our downtowns. That's something that Mr. Esper clearly doesn't understand. And then finally, we have a media that is feeding this flame, this horrific fire, this seditiousness. You have brought this up many times, including tonight. Let me read a headline from Slate magazine. Just yesterday, it said the following. Peaceful protests are an important tool, but so is violence. So now we have a media filling the airways full of this crap.
Yeah.
Put it all together. And the piece that you mentioned, no more police because we're going to defund those folks. We can't put forward the National Guard because that would be escalation. So now we take off the military from the table. What does that leave, Tucker? Let me tell you what it leaves. Vigilante justice.
That's exactly
it's you
right.
and me and everybody watching this program arming ourselves. Is that how we run a republic? No, sir, it is not. And you do not want a country that goes there. And that is precisely where the nation is headed. And we need for all of our leadership to understand that. And if Secretary Esper doesn't get it, doesn't understand that the oath is to protect ourselves from threats, both foreign and domestic, by...
Yeah. So, hey, Graham, is this country a republic?
No, yeah, that's funny. That's funny too. There's so many comedy bits in that. This is a kleptocracy run by oligarchs. And that for the CIA, what is happening in America, this is how the CIA destabilizes countries and gets power. So this is what they're doing. And I mean, it's unbelievable to me. Violence never solved anything. You're right. You're right. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, and those guys, they were, you know, like this guy. So I guess the Boston Tea Party was a bunch of hoodlums and vandals and wasting good tea and polluting the Boston the harbor. Like, and the fact that he's from the CIA and that's revered, that shows you how much the CIA propaganda machine is. I mean, has Tucker Carlson ever done a segment on Operation Mockingbird or MK Ultra or Operation Paperclip? If he has, he wouldn't have this guy on without asking him a bunch of pointed questions. And that, I mean, this is what, look, Fox News is to keep old white people terrified. That's what Fox News is designed to do. And MSNBC is to you know, misinform people who consider themselves liberal who aren't. Or they're just neoliberals.
And so this guy was a Democrat before, by the way. He used to be a Democrat. Then he became a Republican, and he does speaking engagements, and he consults. He does consulting. Yeah. It was just funny when he was talking about, you know, maligning the Black Panthers. If anybody knows anything about the Black Panther, they're actually the most dangerous threat, I think, and they realized it quickly with Fred Hampton by murdering him, because he didn't just talk about race. He talked about economic inequality and the capitalism being the enemy and the oligarchs being the enemy. And those are the direct threat to people like this man, the CIA, because the moment people take this to the next level and we all come together and realize, holy crap, yes, police brutality is an arm of the oligarchy, but it's only an arm. We need to go after the direct oligarchy. We need to go to these people's houses, like Graham said, and demand a UBI, Medicare for all, police, end to police brutality, etc. That's when we're going to get what we want. If people realize that, though, if the mainstream media isn't there to flip their narrative and people realize it, then yes, we are a danger. We are a threat to these people that are on there speaking lies, propaganda to the public. So
the CIA's whole mission is to push the American empire and its capitalism and its hegemony. That's what the CIA was designed to do, and through fear and all this stuff. Yep. So I mean, they look. I was watching CBS News in the days following, and they kept showing these two same clips. Black people looting, and now gun sales are up. And we interviewed this guy at a gun store. Black people looting, white people buying guns. Black people looting, white people buying guns. They kept showing those images over and over and over and over and over. And then they get psychos like this on Fox News. And these people, like I saw, these Trump supporters that show up with their guns, they're all scared. They're all living in, you buy an automatic weapon, you're living in fear. And if any of them, if they had half a brain, if it wasn't up their goddamn MAGA hat ass, they would go, if a bunch of protesters were in my neighborhood, I would join them. or go, hey, tell me what's going on. What is this protest about? If I didn't understand it. But no, stupid America, I'm going to get a gun. Guns are for cowards. So fuck this place. This country is so fat and stupid.
Gun sales are up because people are scared. Even leftists are scared now because they're like afraid that these Proud Boys are going to come after them too. Again, this whole oligarchy is run by fear, and it sucks that, you know, a lot of people like are like, hey, maybe I should get a gun because holy crap, like somebody might attack me now. Like I don't know who has a gun.
There's no
if
law and
all
order.
Our enemies have guns and we don't. This is another reason why you cannot ask people to ban guns. We shouldn't ban guns because then the police still has them. We need to demilitarize the police first if you want to get a lot of people to like come to terms with not having a gun. But everybody lives in a state of constant fear that they don't trust a government. If we trusted our government, oh yeah, sure. Like, you know, but that's not where we're at.
I mean, I get it. I just went on my tirade about guns, but I also, there's a part of me that agrees with what you're saying. Like, oh God, when there's the militaries in my town, are they going to just come knock on my door?
Right.
I mean, there's a part of me that's like, maybe I should, but then I don't want to live in a country where I got to have a gun to defend myself, either from Nazis or the military or just roving gangs of whomever. If I don't, and that's where we're going to be there in a matter of months.
Yeah.
And I think it's being orchestrated. I think they want us in this state where we're blowing, because we're not talking about Epstein. We're not talking about Hillary Clinton just got subpoenaed. We're not talking about any of it. And if we're all fighting with each other, that's what they need, because what they don't want is everybody unifying, going, they're getting
after them.
us.
Yep.
If the Trump supporters who were pissed off about this quarantine and everybody, because we're all getting screwed the same way now. We're all getting screwed the same way. So they got to keep us divided. So they're going to show images of black looters and Trump supporters in their Second Amendment, blah, blah, blah. So they're going to get us to fight with each other. That's their whole thing, is to get us to eat each other up, to blow each other up.
And of course, with I just no help, by the way, from people like Amy Klobuchar, who was a VP possibility, probably and likely. That's completely dead. But here's Amy Klobuchar. This person said, Amy Klobuchar has a lot of nerve being at George Floyd's funeral. She showed up at George Floyd's funeral. Obviously, nice picture opportunity there for her, showing how much she cares, even though it's literally her fault. Like, she refused to convict this guy.
You could have prevented this guy.
She could have prevented this. It's like having like the secret weapon that you could prevent a person from dying 4 years later, or 10 years later, or however. Yeah, I think it was like 10 years. And she completely just threw it out. And this isn't the first time she's had any racial issues, obviously. And so, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't show up to a funeral that I caused, but there's Amy Klobuchar with her photo op. So those are our politicians, ladies and gentlemen. She might be your VP if she's not. Warren, who's another one, or Harris, prosecutor, who jailed more black people than anybody else in California. Those are your choices for politicians. This is why change doesn't come from politicians. No. It comes from the people taking to the streets. This is why.
Yeah, it does.
So, I'm pretty much done with the whole Bernie Sanders. There's still people out there thinking that Bernie Sanders is going to jump back in, that they're hoping he does. I think that's very naive. I think we need to stop looking at politicians to lead us, like I just said. But it is worth noting that a lot of people have come out and talked about how their experience with the establishment hold on Bernie Sanders' campaign was terrible, and how they wanted to speak out before, but they were under an NDA, etc. So a couple of people made this website called Bernie2020autopsy.wordpress.com. You guys should check it out. It pretty much lays out all of the corrupt mother effers in there, from Jeff Weaver to Chuck Rocha to Faiz Shakir. It tells you exactly what they did. It talks about their super PACs. But one particular thing it also mentions is how a Sanders staffer, he was a Los Angeles field director, and he was berating one of the field organizers, and she released the audio. So let's hear the audio. It's a really quick audio.
Play it for you.
AOC,
And this kind of behavior just made it really difficult for the morale in the office. And this is just one example. So
that's annoying. So, Stephen, do you not take me seriously when I say that, or are you just guessing today? I'm giving you what you asked for. A guess or the actual result? Actually giving you what you want. Yes, sir. Then why is she not on the phone? I am on the phone. I'm taking notes on my paper. Earlier she wasn't. It says that on the thing, man. We're not arguing about this right now. Ryan, please, I want all infos, and I want to see their callers, and I'm going to track every person every 15 minutes.
So I just want to give a context. He was yelling at them for not making enough phone calls because apparently Orange County was making more phone calls. And this is the same people that Pasta and I had warned that they were going to have issues with the voting, because we had been talking to poll workers who came to the studio to talk about how the machines were a problem, how there was a conditional ballot, the provisional ballot. They told us that we were conspiracy theorists. This same guy, his name is Louis Myers, he was berating the field organizer, and a lot of people were complaining to me about him this whole time. Then people were also talking about when they called about the lack of help about the whole voting. People were confused, like, wait, is my ballot going to count? What is it conditional? I was told I could register in the moment. That's not the case. And there was two people here, two comments made. This is by Elliot Grossman. He said, I'm an attorney. I was on the 2016 Bernie campaign's legal hotline for the California primary. There were a lot of calls about people who were registered Democrats being told at the polls they were registered as Republicans. Other people were told they had signed up for vote by mail, although they hadn't. All these people were given provisional ballots. All the complaints we received were entered into the campaign software, but nothing was ever done with this information. In 2020, I received an email from the Bernie campaign to sign up for the hotline for this year's California primary, which I did. But I never received any follow-up and don't know if they even had a legal hotline this time. This person then responds to that and says, Elliot, I was at the 2016 Bernie legal hotline too. When I called the phone number that I was given for Bernie's 2020's election hotline to find out when there would be training, I was told there would be no California specific hotline, that the election hotline was coordinated nationally. They told me they didn't need additional help, so I should go back to volunteering in the field. So I just want to go back to the fact that a lot of us were screaming after 2016 at the Bernie Sanders campaign, hey guys, can you please pay attention to the election integrity? You guys got cheated in 2016. Everybody knows it. Nothing was ever said by Bernie. Nothing was ever said by the campaign. And then these people here called people conspiracy theorists, and they also yelled at their field organizers for questioning about the stuff. I mean, they literally told me, I did another video with a person, and they said that they were yelled at for questioning what's going on with the voting. So again, you guys, if the establishment is embedded in your organization, whether it's Bernie Sanders, that's it. You cannot fix this system. This is how bad it is. They infiltrated the Bernie campaign. They took it down. You cannot fix the Democratic Party. You cannot fix the police system. The whole structure has to come down.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows you, like, and it really brings a lot of questions, like Bernie not calling out any of this. He didn't call out the corruption of the Democratic Party. He called out more of the Democratic Party's corruption in 2016, but in 2020, he didn't. He didn't even call out that much corruption of the media.
Yep.
And so he wouldn't call out. I mean, he did a little of like how the big pharmaceutical companies bought ad time and backed candidates on the stage, but he never went hard. He never took the gloves off. And I think his whole campaign was designed to you know, they know, the ruling class knows that the majority of the people want all of these things that we want. They know this. They know we all want free healthcare and free college, and we know there's going to stop the wars and stop police brutality and end private. They know most people want all these things, so they have to keep dividing us. Bernie was a big, powerful movement. You and I and others were at so many of those rallies. We saw it. We saw the power of his movement, the power of his words. We saw this. I mean, I interviewed them. You guys interviewed them. All people from all different walks of life. I met all of them just on the road as a comedian with Ron and Jimmy, and they can't have that. When you're the 1%, you have to divide the 99%, and Bernie would have won single-handedly. So you misinform people that aren't paying attention that much. You control all of the media, and so they're very skilled, and the CIA is very skilled at social manipulation, and when you get your friends and relatives going, yeah, but how are we going to pay for it? That's because they got programmed to say that through the propaganda machine. So there's no way that we can reform from within. It is literally what's happened this past week. Well, I don't like it, and it's scary, and whatever. It's going to take mass protests, man. It's just going to take this. And JFK said it, what is it? When you make peaceful protest impossible, you make a
violent revolution inevitable.
So, and the people who say this on the right are dumb. Never read a history book, I guess. They don't know how this country was born. Like, what did they think? George Washington just sat down and had a nice conversation with King George, and they said, all right, here you go. The colonies are yours. What did they think happened? Like, I don't know, man. I go back and forth. It's a coin toss every day of like, I have a lot of hope and I see all these people get motivated. I see these young people get motivated.
Yeah.
And because like when Rodney King happened, I was in my early 20s, but there was no internet. So the only narrative I was given was that of the media. And that video leaked out and was like, holy shit. But and the riots in LA were only depicted a certain way. And, there was I couldn't just pick my phone and go, wait a minute, here's some videos that are saying completely opposite from what they're telling me on TV. So I have a lot of hope in the young people. My 6 nieces and nephews are in that group. And then I go, America's done. All this stuff that I've been talking about, that I've been watching happen, everyone's got a gun, everyone's, a militarized police, the single greatest transference of wealth, the evisceration of unions and the middle class. We're done. I mean, we are in the middle. Like the economic crash hasn't even begun yet.
Yeah.
1.6 million people just filed for unemployment in LA or California. We're 6 months, a year from now. I don't know, like, boarded up windows, and we're going to have food riots. I mean, we're going to have, I don't know what, and this government, and it's not, Trump is obviously awful, but Obama did that. Obama oppressed the people. I mean, the American empire is just going to double down on brutality. The American empire is going to continue to put its knee on the neck of all Americans now. And so I don't know, man. I want to be hopeful. I want to feel like things can move better, but everything that's happening is like, I mean, shit. People have been talking. It's going to happen. And we haven't even touched on yet. Oh, by the way, the environment is still collapsing, right?
Yeah. There was an earthquake not that long ago here.
Yeah. Fire season's coming in
hurricane
California.
Season.
Yeah.
Tornado season. Yeah, we just wait till we start dealing with that, plus a pandemic, plus economic collapse, plus civil unrest. It's like you're going to have the Christians thinking it's the end of times. I think they already do.
I mean, maybe the whack-nut evangelicals are trying to push for because they want end of times because they think Jesus is going to come back, and they're psychopaths. So I don't know. I mean, I'm really like, what is going on? And they think if we cause all this chaos, then Jesus will return.
I have a super chat from Louise Brooks. She said the medical examiner needs to be charged with falsifying records. I think she's referring to the guy that said he got shot twice via suicide, right? Yeah, I agree with that.
George Webb, yeah. Well,
that
guy. Well, that guy probably was threatened by the CIA, and they said
probably
that's what the CIA does. So, and then Tucker Carlson has him on his show as some sort of, oracle of truth.
Okay, I'm looking for one more super chat, and then we'll get on out of here. It's been a good long show. I'm not finding it, Johnny. Let me see. Oh, wait. No. There we go. Pleb, I like your name. That Robert E. Lee statue is being taken down by the city of Richmond, by the way. Good. First of all, it's a statue. It's symbolic. It may not mean something to a lot of people, but I mean, that was the Confederacy. I mean, that was,
that's an army that lost. That's an army that tried to defeat the United States of America and lost. So is there a Goering statue up somewhere? Is there any of the other armies that were against America? Did they have any of their statues up in America? Do we have a North Vietnamese army general up somewhere?
No, we don't. Exactly.
Okay. So fucking take that hillbilly down and fuck your Confederate flag. You're against America.
Oh, Pleb also says, "Hi, Graham. That guy on Tucker. I can't stop laughing." Yeah, I mean, I was laughing, and I can't. It's funny to me because it's ridiculous, but people actually buy this shit, which is like the sad part.
I do. I mean, do they? What percentage of people? I mean, who's watching
I think it's
cable
few.
TV? I mean,
yeah, I think it's older
white people, that haven't died from COVID yet, that are watching that are like, "Ooh, AOC is a socialist." Whatever, man.
20 too many. Up Chuck Jar. Shouldn't be VP, and she should resign. I think she should resign, but she's not going to. So there you go. I think that's it, right? Oh, Zippity Day. Thank you for the super chat contribution. Please interview Joseph Kishore from WSWS. He's the solution leftists are looking for. Never heard of him. I'll look into it. Okay. I think that covers it all, right? Okay. Well, Graham, where can we find you? Where can people find you? And yeah.
Well, you can find me in military-occupied Santa Monica, and then also at grahamelwood.com, where you can support all the things that I'm doing. My YouTube channel, Political Vigilante. I drop videos every day, and I go live, 4 or 5 days a week. You can support my show at Patreon. ROKFIN, I'm on ROKFIN, which is great.
Yep.
And I've got products for sale at grahamelwood.com, and everything includes free shipping. I ship everything with the post office, which is union labor, and you're supporting a small business.
Awesome, Graham. Thanks for being here. Wishing you a little bit of hope in this time. I know it's hard, especially living in an occupied state that we live in. But I'm thankful for you, your voice, your anger, because it's reminiscent of what we're all feeling right now. So thank you for doing what you do. We appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We're on ROKFIN. As Graham said, it's a cryptocurrency-based platform. Please check it out. And thanks for all my ROKFINers. And we will be chopping up these videos and putting up the clips. All right, guys. Convo out. Bye.
Thank you.